Okay.
Awesome. We are live. This is awesome. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Public Allies webinar today. We're joined by Trish Whetstone. This is going to be an amazing presentation. Just before we get started, I just wanted to give a big thank you to Trish for joining on here. Trish and I have known each other. She was a guest on one of my podcasts, and if I can say anything, you guys are in for an amazing 25 minutes to 45 minutes of content from Trish. She has got me thinking about so many things, and she's just actually released a course, which is amazing. And I'm sure she'll talk about that a little bit more. But I'd like to start off with just introducing who Public Allies is, who I am, and then we'll get into Trish and we'll get this webinar started. So, who is Public Allies? We are a nonprofit organization that helps support the most vulnerable people in society. And we do unique webinars, roundtables, interviews, and business promotions to spread awareness about perspectives, information, and different ways of healing. We at Public Allies believe there is more than one way of healing. Now that you know a little bit about Public Allies, I'll tell you a little bit about me, your host for tonight. My name is Jacob Lethbridge. I'm a mindset, health, and fitness coach on a mission to help people change their lives and their mindset around fitness while getting into the best shape of their lives. I believe that life can be looked at as an amazing adventure and game that we have the choice to which character we are going to play. Will you be the hero, the villain, or just a bystander? I'm currently in the process of developing an RPG-style fitness program that's going to take your fitness adventure to life. Now, here's the main thing. We're talking about Trish here tonight. She's going to be sharing with us all about good gut health. Trish is actually the feel-good gut coach. She's a holistic health specialist, stress expert, and intuitive eating advocate. She became a certified health, life, and nutrition coach to help herself after years of struggling with IBS, which stands for irritable bowel syndrome. Now she helps others with similar gut issues through nutrition, stress management, and lifestyle change so they can feel good in their gut. You can catch her co-hosting the podcast Ice Cream You Scream within the Feel Good Gut Facebook group on Instagram as at Feel Good Gut Girl, or you can visit her website at Health Coaching by Trish. Welcome, Trish. Today we're going to have an amazing webinar.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Jacob. I'm very, very excited to be here. Happy for the introduction and appreciate the space in Public Allies page. Thank you all. If you are listening live, I can't wait to hear your comments and questions towards the end. My wonderful moderator here, Jacob, is going to help with anything in the meantime. Can't wait to connect with you after. And for right now, I'll get started and share my screen.
Awesome.
If at any point, Jacob, and you can't see something, just let me know.
Definitely sounds good. And make sure if you're watching this, leave comments in the chat. I'll be able to see them as they come up. So that way, just as Trish is setting up her screen share, I can see your comments on the side. So make sure you comment, post. We'll have a Q&A at the end of this. And you guys are in for an amazing presentation. Like, it's just awesome. I'm still waiting just for your screen share to pop up here, Trish. There it is. Okay, cool. Okay. So I'm going to hop off. I'm leaving it in your hands. Everyone watching, you're in for a treat. Okay,
awesome.
Off to Trish.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jacob. And thank you all for listening in. We are talking about gut health today. Of course, Jacob gave a wonderful introduction about me. I go by the Feel Good Gut Coach, as you've heard. I really help people struggling with IBS, other digestive concerns, manage stress and lifestyle habits along with nutrition to feel good in their gut. Now, I went on this journey because of my own struggles with gut issues. Contrary to popular belief when first seeing these photos, I was a very well-nourished child. I really didn't have to think too much about my gut or digestive health when I was a kid. And it wasn't until my late teens, early 20s, when I was working in the nonprofit field at a very high-stress job. It was very rewarding, but I started to just feel down all the time. I would wake up feeling kind of like I got hit by a bus at age 22, which wasn't normal. But I would go to doctors and they'd say, you know, most young women in their 20s have some form of IBS. You know, it's kind of normal. You just kind of have to deal with it. I didn't really want to accept that. So I started to study the gut and nutrition and really learn that the gut was at the core of not only my digestive concerns and my energy concerns, but my skin health and my mental health as well. So this picture on the bottom here with the peace sign is a couple of months after I really felt like I healed my gut. I was dancing it off at a wedding, and it's just a great testament to, I think, just how much our gut can do for us. So that's what I hope to share with you today. Now, I can't see comments right now, but I do think this is fun. Whenever I do a webinar, I always like to do a little bit of an icebreaker. So I'd love to know, and I will check the comments, if you were a dessert, what would you be and why? Shown on the screen are all gut healthy desserts that I've made. I'll be sharing some of the components within these throughout the presentation, not the recipes per se, but gut healthy sweets are absolutely possible. I'm a huge sweet tooth, but I think if I were a dessert, I'd probably be something salted caramel, a little bit salty, a little bit sweet. And I just like to think, because I kind of have a diverse personality. So if you're listening, would you be the ice cream, the cheesecake? Would you be the brownie? What kind of dessert would you be and why? I'd love to hear from you. And without further ado, let me get started. Why gut health? I think a really wonderful thing that is happening now in our culture, in the health and wellness world for sure, is a lot of buzz around gut health. I'll get people a lot of times saying, oh, you're a gut health coach. That's wonderful. Gut health is so important. But a lot of times I find that we don't really understand what gut health is, what it really does for us, why it's so important, and of course, really how to take care of our gut health. So I want to debunk this myth and just start by saying that our gut is really what processes and absorbs nutrients from our food. It's a very important part of the digestive process. It's like this open book, I like to say. What we fuel our body with, not only nutrition, but other things that we consume throughout our day and within our life, influences our gut health. What you write in those pages of your gut is really a testament to the rest of your health. And that's because our gut houses something called the gut microbiome. Microbiome basically stands for an environment of bugs, microbes. We can think of these as bacteria, viruses, and fungi that influence other areas of our health. So of course, our digestion is influenced by our gut microbiome, but also our weight. People who maybe have gut issues can be overweight or underweight. It affects the health of our skin, how we perceive pain and energy, because it's a huge part of our immune response. Our brain health, heart health, even vaginal and oral health are all affected by our microbiome. And this is because these bacteria and fungi within our gut have a lot of power over other things. For example, our immune system. About 70% of our immune response is actually housed within our gut. Another fun fact, certain neurotransmitters and hormones are actually made within the gut. So 95% of our body's serotonin, which is one of our feel-good neurotransmitters helpful for mood and sleep, is actually housed within the gut. Now, when I learned that, I studied psychology and neuroscience in college, and we were always talking about serotonin being helpful for managing depression and anxiety, and I never learned that it was housed in the gut. So I was really fascinated to learn that my energy and my mental wellness was also affected by my gut health as well. And that brings me to the last point of why our gut health is so important. And it's not only because of the microbiome, but it's the way that some of these neural pathways in our gut are connected to our brain. So we have something called the gut-brain axis, which is our brain and our gut directly connected via something called the vagus nerve. So if you've ever felt that drop in your stomach or maybe butterflies, that sensation in your gut is part of the gut's nervous system. Our gut has a nervous system just like our brain does as well. And so there's this bi-directional influence, meaning our mental health, our mindset, our stress directly affects the health of our gut, but also the health of our gut directly affects our mental health and our mental wellness as well. So I always love that phrase of trust your gut, because truthfully, it has a nervous system of its own. It's very intelligent. Sometimes it tells us the things that our brain, our conscious brain, does not. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips in this area as well. as I'm going along. Of course, if you have questions or comments, please write them in there. We'll be sure to get to them towards the end. So for the duration of the presentation, we're going to look at optimizing our gut health in these 3 ways. Promoting regular digestion. So regular breakdown of food on kind of a specific clock in a really healthy, efficient way. A healthy microbiome or a healthy environment of bacteria in the gut. And then we're going to look at strengthening that gut-brain axis for optimal gut health and mental wellness and really overall health as well. So I do like to put things in sets of 3s, I found. When it comes to regular digestion, this is huge. This is huge. We're going to be looking at nutrition, motility, and meal timing. And I'm going to break this down a little bit further. So the first one is nutrition. And here's what I'll say. I could probably do a 2, 3, 4-hour talk just on nutrition for gut health, but I wanted to give you the biggest, maybe most important snippets about nutrition for gut health. And let's first look at how you can optimize your nutrition to have regular digestion. So our digestion becomes abnormal sometimes when we're overeating or undereating. So overeating and undereating does not just affect our weight, but affects this flow of digestion. If we're not eating enough, food can become stagnant in our gut, and that can affect that bacteria. It affects what we call motility, which is the smooth movement of food throughout our entire digestive tract from when we put it in our mouth and it comes out the other end. And then, of course, if we're overeating, we can be putting a lot of stress on our digestive system. So the 2 nutrients that I think are super helpful for regular digestion and optimal digestion are fiber and healthy fats. Fiber is really something that helps our stool bulk up so that it can pass through us more seamlessly. Now, fiber is really, of course, important for constipation. I think a lot of times if we're erring on the side of constipation, we think I need more fiber. But I'll say this too, if you're erring on the side of diarrhea, you also need fiber because it helps bulk up the stool. We all need more fiber. In the United States, at least, I know some of us might be tuning in from all around the world or in Canada. Really, most of us don't get enough fiber in our diet. So as you can see on the visual here, a lot of plant-based foods have a lot of wonderful fiber. And then the other nutrient that we're looking for is healthy fats. Now, fats help to keep us full and more satiated. Fats do not necessarily make us fat. There are more processed forms of fats like trans fats that are unhealthy. But on the slide here on this little circle, you can see some really healthy fats. We're talking mono and polyunsaturated fats. And of course, this is helpful because it keeps us more satiated. So we're not constantly putting stress on our digestive system by snacking all the time. And also, fats help to cushion and smooth and calm inflammation on the lining of our intestines as well. So it's super helpful to have healthy fats. I like this visual because it shows some of our amazing foods in the center. Things like chia seeds, avocados, walnuts have both fiber and fat. So those are really digestive superfoods, help with ease and flow of good bowel movements, but also that nourishing of the gut lining as well. Lastly, visuals on the slide here, all smoothie bowls that I make. I'm a bit of a smoothie bowl enthusiast. I like to think that smoothie bowls are kind of like the soup of summer. They have a lot of fiber, and then if you add nuts and seeds, you got your healthy dose of fat, and it's a wonderful meal and very visually pleasing, which we will get to a little bit later about how that can help your gut health as well. All right, another tip to promote regular digestion is movement, length, and strength of our internal organs. As humans, we're really meant to be upright most of the time. Evolutionarily, we're supposed to stand more often than we sit. But what do we do nowadays? Most of us are sitting, and I'm really guilty of this. Most of us sit and slouch while we're on our phone, we're on our laptops. And what this does is it does compress our internal organs. So a lot of times when we have bowel disruptions and abnormal digestion like constipation or diarrhea is because we're not actually getting enough movement and strength and stretching of our internal organs. So even as you're listening to this, whether you're maybe you're on a walk, but whether you're on your phone, your laptop, you can stretch. Stretch right now, lift up your spine, maybe stretch to the sky, do a couple of twists in your chair. Things such as regular walking, yoga are fantastic exercise to actually promote this length and strength of our internal organs. Abdominal exercises are also fantastic, so we do not have to strain so much when we have bowel movements. And then another thing that I really love to do is a little bit of an internal massage. And I'll just say, that little cat on the side there, that's my kitten Smiles. She has to at least be touching my yoga mat a little bit every time I do yoga, but she's funny. She's a funny cat. She actually likes belly rubs, which I've learned most cats are not like dogs and they don't like belly rubs. But you can also like belly rubs because they're really wonderful for our digestion. So if you just give yourself a little bit of a light massage in a clockwise motion after a meal where you feel bloated, maybe gassy, it's wonderful to do this regularly. A little bit of self-massage will help promote regular digestion because you're massaging those internal organs. So moral of the story here, make sure that you're getting up more often than you're sitting down throughout the day. I really encourage movement a lot because it does help with digestion. Okay, we're going to go back to food, circle back a little bit. On the last tip on regular digestion that I have, which is meal timing. Now, there's not necessarily one specific way or one specific schedule for eating that will work for everyone. This is individual, but we're going to be looking at two things: stabilizing blood sugar and gentle fasting for healthy digestion. So blood sugar balance is important because really what happens when our blood sugar drops, this is true for everybody, not just those who have diabetes. But when our blood sugar drops, our gastric juices start to be released. Digestive enzymes are released, and our body says, I need food and I want it now. If we don't satiate ourselves and we don't eat as often as we should, and we're waiting too long and we have those blood sugar crashes, we're actually starting to train our digestive system to need food in that moment. But if we're not nourishing ourselves, we can cause some digestive disruptions. So having good blood sugar balance is a big key to healthy digestion. So I have 3 blood sugar stabilizers. I call them the 3 non-negotiables, and that's hydration, movement, and sleep. Yes, some of my slides are going to be crossovers here. You already know that movement is fantastic for digestion. Know that it also helps to stabilize your blood sugar, so you're getting a double whammy here. Super uber important to focus on these habits for healthy, regular digestion. Of course, hydration so that our stools can move through us efficiently, movement, and sleep. And sleep is important because this is when our digestive system gets a break. Our digestive system is working all the time. Doesn't matter if you had dinner about an hour ago like I did, or if you haven't eaten for 3 hours, or you just ate. Your digestive system is always working, but when we sleep, it can really get a break. So I do encourage very gentle fasting. Now, intermittent fasting can work for some people, but we can all get a very gentle fast overnight. So I like to kind of promote at least a 12-hour fast. If this isn't possible, you can start at 10 hours and work your way up to 12. But this would look like eating at 7 p.m. at night, maybe dinner, and then not eating your breakfast until 7 a.m. Allowing your digestive system a break. What happens when we eat too late at night is really food sits in our stomach, sits in our digestive tract undigested, and we're more likely to wake up with gut disruptions than if we allowed this wonderful fast when our body heals overnight. I did insert another picture of Smiles when she was a kit in there because it's just too cute. She's getting her beauty rest or cat naps, which is like half the day for her. But I like to encourage, one tip that you can do is instituting a power down hour. So turning off your electronics at night, maybe skipping on the late night snack and instead having a cup of tea or just lemon water, and really allowing your body this time to power down to get more restful sleep It helps so many areas of our health, regulating our hormones, but it's a wonderful way to ease your body into sleep and to ease your digestive system into rest as well. So maybe a gentle walk at night, reading a book, diffusing essential oils, really anything that's going to get you away from the screens and away from the kitchen, that's going to allow you to power down, is a wonderful way to get ready for restful sleep. So digestion was a big one. Regular digestion does help fuel these other areas of our gut health as well, including our microbiome. So let's look a little bit more specifically at our microbiome. Again, that is that collection of bacteria and fungi that are housed within our gut. I think something I should clarify here, the gut is the colon, so our intestines. When we're talking about digestion, we're talking about the whole process from when we start to chew food, it goes through our esophagus and stomach, through our colon and out the other end. The microbiome is housed within the gut, the colon, and this is really where a lot of the magic happens. So some of the things that we can do to really increase the power of our gut specifically are having both prebiotics and probiotics. Now, probiotics, I feel like, man, probiotics get all the buzz, and probiotics are fantastic, but I'm going to maybe be a little bit unpopular and say that prebiotics, I believe, are a little bit more important to focus on in your diet and nutrition than probiotics, because we have a natural bacteria, natural probiotics already living within our gut. If you've ever had antibiotics, or you've been on a lot of antibiotics, or you have really intense gut issues, it is helpful to supplement with probiotics, maybe a supplement that actually has colonies like an actual pill, but you can actually supplement with food. And when you have a lot of fermented foods, I'm a huge advocate for pickles because they're delicious, apple cider vinegar, yogurt, kombucha, sourdough bread, you're going to naturally be fueling yourself with probiotics, and you don't necessarily need to have a supplement as well. That's just my opinion. And really, the kicker here, though, is that we need prebiotics. So just adding a probiotic supplement isn't really going to do it if we don't have prebiotics. And that's because prebiotics are the food for probiotics. Yeah, probiotics are living organisms, living bacteria, and they will die off if they don't have food, which are prebiotics. So again, we're checking multiple things off the list here. Fibrous carbs, a lot of the plant-based foods that we already saw on the other slide are also going to be really high in prebiotics. And essentially, these are foods that go undigested throughout our intestine. And I know that sounds weird, but they're broken down a little bit, and they're undigested because essentially they're going to be food for that good bacteria. And when it comes to the microbiome, essentially we just want more good than bad bacteria. We'll always be exposed to a little bit of bad bacteria in our environment, in life, but we want to kind of build this strong defense of healthy bacteria, or good bacteria. So a complement of prebiotics and probiotics really is the answer. Now, the other component here, and this is something I'm very passionate about, is that we can work on nutrition all day, but if we're not also looking at other areas of our life, we can still have an unhealthy microbiome. So one of the reasons this is because our stress hormone cortisol can affect our microbiome. So cortisol is released when we're under a stressful environment, and it has some helpful tasks evolutionarily. It helps kind of pump up our adrenaline. It helps to heal wounds that we have. But when we're just reading a triggering email from a coworker, or we're sitting in traffic, we don't need to heal a wound, right? But we're still releasing cortisol. So excess cortisol release, essentially excess stress, does promote that growth of the bad bacteria within our gut. Also, stress can interfere with our sleep, interfere with the cravings that we have. We're more likely to crave unhealthy foods. We're less likely maybe to move and be active. So stress can really affect these other healthy habits as well. The last reason that looking at stress management is really important for our gut health, besides just how it affects our microbiome, is that it does shut down digestion. So that's going to bring me to our last section here on strengthening this gut-brain axis. So I'll look at this further on this next slide. Essentially, our nervous system, our autonomic nervous system, has two different branches. Our sympathetic nervous system, think of this as the stress response, and our parasympathetic parasympathetic nervous system, which is our relaxation response. So our sympathetic nervous system is that fight or flight response, fight, flight, or freeze response. That's a little typo on the slide there. But essentially, evolutionarily, again, what happened is this is when we would, in caveman times, would be ready to either fight off the bear, run away from it, or maybe freeze in the moment. But it had helpful implications for us. Our heart rate and our blood pressure increases so that we can do those things. And guess what? Digestion all of a sudden is not so important. Digesting your lunch isn't important if you're in a life or death situation. So your body becomes inflamed, becomes ready to fight off any infections, maybe any injuries that you have. However, again, most of us are hopefully not running away from tigers or bears. We're sitting at our desk, we're stressed out, we're in traffic, we had a fight with our partner, and our digestion shuts down. The kind of good and bad news here is that these nervous system responses are like an on-off switch. You cannot be in both at once. You can't be a little bit sympathetic and a little bit parasympathetic. No, once you have a stressor, your digestion immediately shuts down and you get in this nervous system state, that stress response. However, the opposite is true. When you take slow, deep, conscious breaths, when you alleviate your stress really in any way, you're entering the parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest response. Healing happens here. Your digestion turns on again, and you start to be able to digest your lunch. So mindfulness and breathing are one of the easiest, simplest, most effective and quick ways to tap into that parasympathetic nervous system, to turn that switch on. And ultimately, that's where we want to be most of the time. Because again, if we're stressed out throughout the day and we're constantly turning off our digestion, we're going to have issues where food just starts to sit in our stomach and our acid production becomes low. A lot of different things can happen when we're in the stress response too often, and it's a huge gut disruptor. So I like to talk about foods that can calm inflammation. And I think some of my pictures here aren't showing up on the slide, but you can see some of the most anti-inflammatory superfoods. Essentially, these foods help to calm inflammation, are great if you're having abdominal pain, if you're struggling with bloat and gas very often or discomfort. Things like ginger, turmeric with a little bit of black pepper, different herbal teas, fatty fish like salmon and tuna that have really healthy fats, and colorful fruits and vegetables, berries and leafy greens are going to be very anti-inflammatory. So these are some other superfoods that I love to add to a good diet for good gut health, because they help calm some of that inflammation that the stress in our life essentially creates. So having some ginger tea, adding these things to your diet are a wonderful complement. All right, it looks like my visuals are missing on this slide as well. But one of the last things that I wanted to do for us today is go through a little visualization of what I call the NBC of a mindful meal. Now, when we eat in a stressed out state, as you might guess, our digestion is shut off. So if we're taking calls and we're working during our lunch, or we're eating on the go in the car, we're likely in that state. And we're literally not doing our body any good, because food's going to go in and it's going to sit there not fully digested until we can relax again. So a wonderful tool is to practice mindful eating. This is slowing down, allowing your body to really up its digestive fire, allowing your body time to relax and be in that parasympathetic nervous system response. This is really helpful because a lot of our digestive enzymes and stomach acid can actually be released before we even eat our meal. This is called the cephalic phase of digestion. Cephalic means head. So this is everything that you're thinking in your head and the ways that you're maybe expressing gratitude for your food that actually release stomach acid. About 20% of our stomach acid that helps break down food can be released during the cephalic phase of digestion. So this is noticing everything in our plate, really having a mindful experience before we even start eating our food. So if you're with me live or you're watching on replay, if you're comfortable, I'm going to lead us through a little mindful meal visualization. So I'd love for you to get comfortable. You can close your eyes and start to take a few deep breaths in through your nose and out of your mouth. Allow your body to relax. And just picture a food, a plate of food, a bowl of food that really sounds delicious. On my slide, I had a chocolate smoothie bowl with some really fresh orange because I personally love orange chocolate. Hope that's not a turnoff for those of you who don't like orange chocolate. Picture whatever you want and see that plate in front of you. Our first N of the NBC of a mindful meal is to notice. So I just want you to notice the colors of the food in front of you. What are the different colors and textures that you can see? My smoothie bowl, I can see the juiciness of the orange, the bright orange, contrasting the dark cocoa nibs that I had on that smoothie bowl. If it's a warm meal, maybe you can see the steam coming off of your chicken stir fry or your sweet potato fresh out of the oven. Maybe you can see the butter melting over your sweet potato. Just notice what you see. Maybe you're sitting across from your partner and you're having a wonderful meal together. The second letter of our NBC of a mindful meal is to breathe. So as you're noticing your next meal, breathe in nice and slow. Breathe into your belly if you can, and just notice. Maybe you can even smell some of the scents of the food that you're about to eat. And know that as you're breathing slowly and deeply, you're activating that calming nervous system response. You're actually also stimulating little villi on your intestines. Yeah, on a microscopic level, you're getting your intestines ready to absorb more nutrients from your food by just taking a slow, deep breath. Now, pick up your utensil or hands if you're eating with your hands, and pretend you're taking that first bite of food. The last letter of our NBC of a mindful meal is to chew. And I want you to take your first bite and start to chew very slowly. It's wonderful to chew each bite of food about 20 to 30 times. So often we chew maybe 3 times and we don't fully use the capacity of our teeth to start this digestive process. Our saliva even has digestive enzymes which help with the digestive process. So see if you can slowly savor every bite of that food, chew it ever so slowly, and really enjoy this whole experience. As you're eating, notice, breathe between those bites of food, and chew them thoroughly. Put your utensil down, enjoy conversation in that moment, and know that you're doing your gut, and then of course the rest of your health, a really wonderful favor. Take a few more deep breaths in and out. When you're ready, you can return to your screen. And I just wanted to finish up our presentation with a little bit more about what I do in my coaching practice, Health Coaching by Trish. So of course, I'm all about gut health. I help people feel good in their gut, and my programs are really designed to give you that support, that accountability, and this personalization of this information for you and for your life. A lot of this information, it was a lot, and maybe it was general, and you need a little bit of help. You or someone you know need help customizing this and finding what works for you. So some of the programs that I offer include a 21-day reset cleanse. This is a little 3-week cleanse to get your body really nourished through whole foods. This isn't a juice cleanse. This is where we eliminate certain foods that might be triggers for you, maybe food sensitivities or allergens. And we work to find a more balanced state of your body, really to kind of clear out your digestive system and get you on your way. We have a whole food cleanse guidebook, a nourishing recipe book. And then for all of my clients, I do have 24/7 text and email support because I want you to feel supported. It's easy to know this stuff, but before I joined my own coaching programs and hired my own coach and nutritionist, I knew a lot of stuff, but it was hard to take action. So I created a 90-day program to really help people have that support to take action to get their gut healed in a really supportive way in this 90-day program. It's one-on-one, it's very personalized, and I build in that cleanse within that program. And then lastly, as Jacob mentioned, I did launch my first Feel Good Gut Foundations course. This is a self-paced online course that's really accessible and affordable to help you identify maybe specific causal factors if you have digestive concerns. Really kind of how to make this customizable for you. Little snippets of the program were here today, but if you want to dive deeper, that course is currently on sale. And as you can see, my contact information is at the bottom of the page. So if you're interested in the course or any of my services, or you would just like to connect on social media or via email, please do see my information there or on the slides. I would love to connect with you, hear from you. And with that being said, I will stop sharing my screen and see if I can hear from you a little bit if we have any questions from Jacob here. Let me see. There we go. Am I stopped sharing? Okay. Oop, I think you're muted. Oh, I can't hear you, Jacob.
Guess I should unmute my mic. That would probably help, right? Here I am, like, really pumping up how good your course is because I have been through the course and it is actually amazing. I learned a lot. And
thanks.
In the pre-interview, Trish and I were talking and I was telling her about when I was going through the course and how I should have actually applied more of it to the meal I was eating that night, because as I was listening to it, I was going out to pick up Chinese food, which is like, get away from that stuff if you're trying to make your gut feel good.
Yeah.
But
oh, that's funny. Well, thank you so much.
I followed the NBC technique when I was eating the Chinese food, so I didn't have really bad digestion because I took the time.
Absolutely. I say all the time that it doesn't matter what you're eating, if it's the healthiest kale salad or pizza, if you're not eating it mindfully, you're not going to be doing your gut a favor. And whatever you're enjoying, you might as well eat it mindfully. So love that you did that.
Exactly.
And it worked.
I think I must have chewed my food for maybe 20 to 30 bites per thing. And I was like, man, I'm the last person leaving this table. But I felt way better after.
Ah, that's great to hear.
Yeah. So I think since there weren't too many questions in the chat, I think it would be good to just ask a few questions that some people might be wondering, but maybe they don't know how to properly ask it yet, right? Like they have the information that they want to ask, but maybe they just don't know how to phrase it properly. So one of the things that was coming up while I was thinking about it was like, what are some of the most underrated ways to really nourish your gut and get it stronger?
Yeah, I love that, the underrated ways. One, I think it is that mindful meal that you were practicing, because it is something that, again, you can kind of do from anywhere. It's one of those things that is free and doesn't cost a lot of money. I also think that another really underrated way is utilizing some of the techniques around movement. I think a lot of times, a lot of the focus is on nutrition. And I'll say that I can't discount how much the anti-inflammatory, the clean whole foods approach does really a lot for the gut. So if you're looking for the most underrated nutrition tip, it's literally just eating clean. And I know we hear that a lot, like eat clean whole foods, less processed foods. And we think that we need to complicate it though. I hear that a lot from clients, like it should be something else, shouldn't it? I've been eating like this for 5 days a week and nothing's happening. It is a little bit more of a long game. But I promise that generally taking a cleaner whole foods approach is going to nourish your gut. And then in the meantime, practicing the mindful meal, the mindful eating, and the movement practices, having a little bit of self-massage, even using a hot compress to kind of stimulate some of your muscles and relax some of your digestive muscles. A lot of times with IBS, we just have a lot of muscle spasms that are happening from sitting, from constantly straining when we're going to the bathroom or we're rushing while we're eating. So using a hot compress, I love a hot water bottle. Sleeping with that at night right on your abdomen is a great way to relax your digestive system. And another super inexpensive way. So I love those things that are just simple, really accessible. I think those are sometimes the most underrated ways, because again, a lot of times we're thinking like expensive probiotics are the way to go, and they can be beneficial, but those simple things really can have a profound effect.
Totally. And I 100% agree with that, because I'm a guy that I will sleep with, I'll sometimes sleep with a heating pad because it's so nice. You know,
Yeah.
just plug it in. It's so warm. It's like,
Yeah,
man, and you just, if your stomach hurts, it feels good to have
it
that.
feels good.
Now we
Yeah.
have a question coming in from the chat. I'll highlight it on here so you can see it too.
Oh, I love that.
So, how do diets help or hurt gut health? Thanks, Aisha,
Mm.
for sending that in.
That's a wonderful question. I'm gonna perceive that as diets of like restriction. I don't know if that's necessarily how you meant it, Aisha, so you can definitely clarify. But when I think of diet, a lot of times it's like the restriction. So I should be restricting calories, I should be restricting carbs. To some extent, there are certain gut health diets, the low FODMAP diet, for example, that are well researched, that show that restriction for a short period of time can give our digestive and our digestive system, our gut, a break from foods that can be really inflammatory, that can cause a lot of digestive upset. What I say generally about all of those diets is they are meant to be temporary, depending on your gut health, a couple of weeks or months, but not necessarily a lifelong thing. It's really helpful to work with a coach, a nutritionist, a dietitian to help you find how much to restrict and when to add foods back in, because that is the ultimate goal. Really, our gut likes variety. Our gut likes variety. And I think so often people restrict when it comes to gut health. But what happens is that microbiome can become really depleted. Ultimately, we want more diversity in our diet to build up that microbiome. So when it comes to completely restricting food groups like carbs or completely restricting calories, usually it actually does more harm than good in the long run for the gut.
Great answer, and really great question, Aisha. Thanks for asking
Yeah,
that.
that is a great
And that
question.
actually makes me think of another question, which is like, so when you're going through one of these elimination diets, because it's something that I talked about when we did our podcast together, when I was cutting out milk and lactose
Yeah.
entirely for about a month. What are some tips for people who might be going through one of these elimination diets for staying positive through this? Because,
Yeah.
sometimes when you try to cut something out, you might get a little cranky, like, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It totally affects our mental health. And it's hard when it's foods that we've eaten our whole life, like bread or dairy, for example. So some of my best tips are, again, to find support, even if it's a friend or someone who's maybe going through it with you, who will understand, tapping into a coach or even online support groups to just kind of chat about your experience and share and kind of alleviate some of that stress of like, oh man, I'm not on dairy right now and my friends are going out to ice cream. What can I do? Can I find a dairy-free option? Can I have an herbal tea instead? So just having that support, first off. And then my second tip is this perspective, or this maybe mindset shift of, when we eliminate one thing, try and add some other foods back in. So I like to use this term phase in to phase out. So if you are getting rid of dairy or gluten or another food group, try and have as much variety in the foods that you can have. So a lot of gut health diets will be like maybe getting rid of certain food groups, but you can have, chicken and veggies, and that's all that people are eating. But they're not realizing that they can have turkey and a whole variety of veggies. We eat the same like broccoli, carrots, and cucumbers, and that's it. But there's so many other plant-based foods. There's other grains out there that are gluten-free. So I like to make it this perspective of like, make it a game of try as many foods as possible that you can have. Try out dairy-free recipes. Try those new things. It becomes more fun and exciting. and you feel less restricted than if you just were like, I'm just taking out foods I've always eaten and not adding anything back in to replace it. So I would suggest that, because it's also better for your gut as well to have more variety.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think that's a really great place to kind of end this. I don't see any other questions in the chat. So if
Wonderful.
you do have any other questions, leave them in the chat. Trish will definitely follow up with you.
Yeah.
And Trish, if you want to just remind us one more time where we can find you and the best way to contact you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jacob and Public Allies, for having me. You can contact me via my website, healthcoachingbytrish.com. There you'll see my email as well as my social links. Best way to contact me is via email or potentially on my Instagram. I'm most active on that platform, maybe even Facebook, my Health Coaching by Trish page. But feel free to send me a message or an email about any inquiries or further questions you have. I would love to hear from you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And the links are in the description for this chat box as well. So you can definitely make sure you can find Trish there. Thank you so much, Trish. I really appreciate this. And everyone who's watching this, I'm sure has learned a lot. Thank you so much for taking the time. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.